Your group has fire, food, shelter. Nobody is forcing you to climb that hill. Nobody knows what's on the other side. And that is exactly the problem. Something inside you won't let you sit still. You stand up, even though there's no safe reason to. You walk, even though it's risky. And on the other side, you find sometimes nothing, sometimes everything. But you couldn't have done anything else. Why can't the human brain stop asking what's behind that hill? 60,000 years of walking, somewhere around 70,000 years ago, a small group of humans stood at the edge of Africa. They had everything they needed: rivers with fish, land they understood, predators they'd learned to avoid. And yet they left. Not because they were starving, not because the land failed them. They left because something pulled them toward the unknown, toward coastlines they'd never seen, toward horizons that promised nothing but questions. Within tens of thousands of years, their descendants had crossed deserts, oceans, and ice fields. They reached Australia by boat before they had written language. They walked into Siberia's frozen wastelands with nothing but fire and hide. This wasn't survival pressure. This was curiosity, acting as its own engine, its own reward, its own reason. Anthropologists call this behavioral drive one of the defining traits that separated Homo sapiens from other hominids. Neanderthals, for all their strength and adaptability, largely stayed within familiar ranges. Sapiens didn't. Something in the sapiens' brain treated the unexplored not as a threat, but as a pull. The machinery behind the pull. So, what is curiosity really? And why does it feel so different from boredom? Boredom is the absence of stimulation, a flat, empty state your brain wants to escape. Curiosity is something else entirely. It's active. It's a hunger for a specific piece of missing information. In the 1990s, psychologist George Loewenstein proposed what's now called the information gap theory. His idea was simple but powerful. Curiosity isn't triggered by not knowing things in general. It's triggered by noticing a gap, a specific space between what you know and what you want to know. Think about that hill. Your ancestor didn't feel a vague itch to explore. They felt a specific gap. I know what's on this side. I don't know what's on the other side. That gap itself became unbearable. And your brain didn't just notice the gap, it rewarded you for closing it. Neuroscientists have found that the anticipation of new information triggers dopamine release in the brain's reward circuitry, the same circuitry involved in food, sex, and social bonding. Not the answer itself, the anticipation of the answer. This is the critical detail. Dopamine doesn't wait for satisfaction. It fires the moment your brain believes a gap is about to close. Which means curiosity was never really about the hill. It was about the itch that appeared the moment your ancestor didn't know what was on the other side of it. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Your brain today is running on prehistoric software. It still generates that same dopamine spike the instant it detects an information gap. But it has no idea whether that gap is a hillside in the Rift Valley or a blue notification dot on your phone. Consider the small red circle on an app icon. It doesn't tell you what the notification is, it just tells you there's a gap, something you don't know yet. Your brain reacts exactly the way it would to an unexplored ridge. It can't rest until the gap is closed. Doom scrolling works the same way. Each swipe promises a new fragment of information. A headline, a fact, a face. Your brain isn't seeking despair, it's chasing the next closed gap, over and over, because each one delivers a tiny hit of anticipation before the next uncertainty opens up. Streaming platforms engineered this almost perfectly. Autoplay doesn't ask if you want to keep watching. It removes the decision point entirely, sliding you straight into the next open gap before the last one even finishes closing. And YouTube's recommendation algorithm? It's not selling you videos, it's selling you hills. Each thumbnail is a horizon, promising something unknown just beyond the click. Your ancestor climbed 1 hill a day, maybe. You climb hundreds without ever leaving your chair. The reframe. Here's what's worth sitting with. Curiosity isn't a flaw. It's not weakness, and it's not a distraction from real focus. Curiosity is the exact drive that carried your ancestors across every ocean, every desert, every unmapped horizon on Earth. Without it, humanity would still be standing at the edge of one river in East Africa. The problem isn't the mechanism. The problem is that your brain, this ancient, brilliant, information-hungry machine, cannot tell the difference between a hillside that might hold food, water, or new land, and an infinite scroll engineered by people who understand your dopamine system better than you do. The hill was finite. You'd reach the top, see what was there, and the gap would close. The feed is not designed to close. It's designed to open a new gap the instant the last one shuts. So the next time you feel that pull, that itch to check, to swipe, to know, ask yourself one quiet question. Is this a hill? Or is it just a feed pretending to be one?